I work with travel and my daughter, if she has children, I'll want to help her with those. But I have no interest in just fading away from the kind of stuff that I feel I can contribute.
So what made you cross the line to join the former enemy? Because inevitably a lot of your old friends must have said, well, you've sold out.
Well, I've sold out, or they couldn't understand it. You know, surprisingly, Peter, numbers of them rang me up and said, look, if there's some way I can help. I wouldn't want to do it for the world, but if you're going to do it and I can help, then I'm in there for you. So I've always had this sort of background hum of people who are willing to take my eccentricity kind of at
So you accept it as eccentric, do you, what you've done?
Well, I guess it's eccentric, although there are other people around the world who have done this, you know, environmentalists who've worked a lot with industry and then actually started to, you know, lead those industries into the future.
I can't think of any other issue that so divides Australians as except football maybe, as feelings about forestry.
It is a divisive issue. It's almost been seen to be intractable, and maybe that's why I decided I'd do it. Because we can't continue down this path of grenades and blockades. We have to make some peace. We have to work out how we're going to have a sustainable industry ourselves. Otherwise, we're shipping the industry, the environmental problems, to countries that are much less able to deal with them. I mean, we can do it much better than many other countries in terms of sustainable forestry. We want the products. Are we going to just import illegal, stolen, unsustainable logs? What are we going to do?
In Australia, are there high conservation forests that aren't in reserve still?
There are still some places that need to be looked at in terms of protection for sure. But equally, Peter, there are some forests...
How easy is it to sell that idea to the industry you now work for?
Well, it is really hard because there's one really basic reason why it's hard. Not because they don't understand that, in fact, there might be some reason to protect more forests. They understand that, absolutely. They are very smart business people, by the way. The key question is keeping the industry alive for the future so it can really reach its potential using a renewable resource. Plantations are not really the answer.
Well, I was going to come to plantations and regrowth. I mean, those things together, is that enough to actually sustain the demand for various products that we have?
No, it's nothing like enough. We've got a trade deficit. Most of the forestry in Victoria is, guess what? It's regrowth. If the community really values old growth so much, to be quite frank, it's not the best timber, it's not the most productive of forests, but we need another resource to replace it. Well, the industry will be so tiny that it won't survive, and therefore you will have no local industry, and we will be importing stolen timber.
Do you feel that you can both be a partisan, because you do work for one side, and they do want you to put their arguments. Can you do both that and reconcile with the other side? I mean, can you mediate between the two sides? Have you been able to bring them together?
Yes, I can help with the mediation. I can't do everything, that's for sure. I can only be part of the process, but I am convinced that there are many people who can see beyond the grenades and the blockades.
All right.
There are more than me.
You're doing your best to create a balance in the environment. What about a balance in life? Would you say you've handled that well? Because you readily admit sometimes it's 4 a.m. starts. It's very early in the morning.
It is early in the morning. I'm a Queensland girl, you know, we always got up early. No, I don't think I have handled my life balance terrifically. Sometimes I'm really regretful that I haven't been around.
Not too late to redress those things, though, is it?
Well, I don't know about that. Might be.
Well, you can't change the past, but, I mean, do you want to change the present?
One thing I do these days is that most weekends I go down to my beach house, sometimes just by myself with my dog, and I do very, very little. I think about things, but I don't actually do a lot of physical work.
Where do relationships fit in?
I have some very good friends from when I was 6 years old, both men and women. I have some new friends who are much more able to kind of, you know, we don't have to go through the argument about the blockades and the grenades. They understand that perfectly. They just want me to get on with doing it well. So they're very supportive in that way. So in terms of a partner, I think I'll just take a rest from that for a bit.
Why?
Well, I've had really tough times in partnerships in the past, and there are very few models, I think, of women who've been independent, had families, and their bloke's been able to tolerate it all. And I mean, some of my partners have really, really tried hard, but found it really difficult to do it.
Siobhan's just on the cusp of womanhood, their very beautiful daughter. What sort of world do you want to create for her, to the extent that you can influence that?
Well, I guess I'm doing what I can to bring some of those forces together. I've decided that as an environmentalist, I was never a planet fetishist that was just about the magic of the planet, right? Well, this is, you know, they talk about planet fetishism and that you're obsessed with just, you know, keeping the planet pristine or whatever. Well, it's pretty unlikely, isn't it? There's going to be 10 billion people on the planet. So I think I have to say I'm a planet manager. And that within that you have to manage industry and industry transformation, you have to manage the way that governments see their policy making, you know. So if I can help sort of bring some of those forces together, and Siobhan talks about things not unlike this, and I don't know whether it's rubbed off from me or whether it's actually come from her own experience. She's much more practical than ideological.
It's a big job. Patricia, we'll let you get back to it.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. Next week on Talking Heads, John English.
But if I ain't been spending all of my money, then at least I've been doing my best.
I'll just keep working until I fall over, I suppose, because I like it.
Tomorrow night on Second Opinion, Kahuna Massage. Also clinical depression, can Iyengar yoga help? And will a therapy based on ancient healing methods help a trauma victim?